Hey all, before I start the video, I just quickly want to say thank you for all the support on the last video, and also thank you to the man, the myth, the legend below zero man for commenting and subscribing on my last video. Check him out. He's the one who inspired my State of Anarchy video and who basically kickstarted this whole YouTube thing shenanigans. So yeah, back to the video. Imagine, if you will, and take the crafting elements and procedurally generated worlds of Minecraft and the beauty and colorful art style of Terraria and the Zelda titles from the NES and SNES era, and mix them together with roguelike features from games like Spelunky or Enter the Gungeon. And now make a game out of it. What game did you get, you might ask? You get Magicite. Magicite is an indie action RPG developed by Magical Time Bean that blends fast-paced roguelike gameplay with RPG mechanics. Basically, you get to explore, craft, and fight. Released back in the great year of 2015, the game features pixel art graphics reminiscent of Minecraft, Terraria, and Stardew Valley, with procedurally generated worlds and the co-op elements, although you can play alone too if you don't have any friends, creating a dynamic adventure that is both challenging and rewarding for the player, and also very frustrating. Now, Magicite as a game, I already mentioned, is a co-op / single-player action RPG with roguelike elements. Players take on the roles of characters, which in this game are represented and named as races, which there are 15 of, including a starter race which you unlock. I'll throw up on the screen right now, which all have different stats, aka positives and negatives. Either you get more health, more attack, more dexterity, more magic, more HP, stuff like that. You can also equip different variants, which basically just change the look. Don't change the abilities or nothing, just change the look of your characters. Along with that, you can pair them with different hats, which there are 24 of, also each having their own like abilities, positives and negatives, mostly like just positives for what kind of playstyle you want to have. And besides all of that, you have companions, of which you can unlock 8, and again, all have different like just abilities and such. Basically only positives for the hats and companions, but there are obviously worse hats and better hats and worse companions and better companions, but all these mixed with the traits and the stats which you can switch in the very beginning of creating your character, where you can name your character, pick traits, which you can only pick 2, and your stats, which you have your attack, your HP, your dexterity, and your magic. And all of the variants, characters, aka races, and hats you unlock through playing the game. And all of these can be blend with the 3 kind of like abilities which you have like warrior abilities, archer abilities, I'll call them, and magic abilities. And that creates kind of like different classes, where you can have a melee class, aka a warrior class, a magic class, or like a ranged class like an archer. And with all of that, you get to explore randomly generated dungeons or biomes, which is what the fan wiki calls them, and I will prefer to call them biomes because, again, Minecraft reminiscent, which all have their own kind of like charm and style, and all have different monsters which you can fight, which sometimes do look interesting, to say the least. You do collect resources and craft items, and the crafting is like an essential part of this game. The game also, with procedurally generated levels, make sure that like no level is the same or plays out the same, although I did read on the wiki that there are like maybe like 18 different variants. I'll throw up the comment if I can find it anywhere, which kind of like defeats the whole purpose of procedurally generated levels. But again, it's fresh enough to the point where it keeps coming back. Okay, so the crafting system I just mentioned is one of the standout aka main features of Magicite. As you progress, you gather resources such as wood planks, sticks, ironite, diamondite, goldium, herbs, which you can find in these different dungeons, aka biomes, through playing the game. Each dungeon contains something different, be it a chest which you have normal chests and gold chests. Gold chests you can only unlock by having that trait for unlocking gold chests, and normal chests anybody can unlock. A different ore variant, aka there are just 3 ore variants, but in some dungeons there are more of some type of ore variant, or the monsters you get to kill, dropping different things like cobwebs, bushes, herbs, mushrooms, stuff like that, or the different like themes of these dungeons, because of obviously they're just different biomes. That all makes a difference on what is most logical and practical to craft at any given moment, and you use these resources you get to craft weapons, aka swords, bows, crossbows, armor, which varies on what type of like class you want. You can get like, I think it's something like leather, which you can make like something that's more suited towards archers, or you can just use pure ironite, goldium, and diamondite to like craft like warrior armor, which has I think the most HP in the game, although I'm not really sure. Potions, tools such as axes and pickaxes, and other useful stuff. The crafting mechanic allows for like deep customization and encourages players to experiment with different gear combinations to tackle tougher enemies and bosses, because believe me, the bosses don't only get tougher, but they get more frustrating to fight against. Which is when you get 30 minutes of playtime and you get to like dungeon 17 and you die in the dumbest way possible because you didn't have like the proper potions or proper weapons to fight a certain boss or like a certain monster. Yeah, it just infuriates you to the point where you rage quit. Combat in Magicite is one of my favorite parts because it's so fast, fluid, wisp. With a wide range of weapons and spells at your disposal, the game's fighting elements are just satisfying with well-tuned controls that make it easy to dodge attacks and timer strikes, but do take quite a lot of time to truly like do some well-executed dodging, which you will need if you are attempting Madman mode. Madman mode is basically if something in normal mode, if you stay in a dungeon too long, something will appear. I'm not sure what's it called. I'm gonna throw the name up on screen, but that appears and literally one hits you. Now imagine that at the beginning of every dungeon, except for like when you finish a dungeon and go into the marketplace or town, whatever. Imagine that at the beginning of every dungeon chasing you, and you have to get resources, fight the other monsters, and that thing is basically unkillable. So kudos to anybody who beat this game on Madman mode. I tried it once and got 30 seconds of life, so yeah. However, it also requires careful management of health, stamina, and hunger. So yeah, but when you when you eat, you poop, and I make the funny sound. And resources which are used to craft the things you need to basically survive, and the resources are quite limited and are quite rare. For example, you'll find ironite more than you will find diamondite, and for some odd reason, coal, out of all the things, coal is super difficult to find. I don't know why, but I barely ever find coal. In every single playthrough, I look for coal. Why? Well, because you have to gather food to not be hungry, to not die, and you have to cook that food so you get more hunger bars out of it. And you need 2 coal. I swear to God, I sometimes pass a whole 5 dungeons finding only 1 piece of coal, and you need 2 coal to make a fire starter to cook your food so you can last longer and start the second game. Now, everything that I said here applies to you when you're playing like solo, but Magicite does have a multiplayer co-op mode, which is fun, but from what I heard, but I never experienced it because I never had anybody to play Magicite with. Basically, you can play up to 4 players where you merge forces in online co-op mode, and I'm sure that makes this game so much easier because you don't have to stick to like a certain class or like just mix and match until you find it, because I only like spam click warrior class. Like magic because that's the thing I'm most comfortable with, and I don't like experimenting, so that's for me. But yeah, if you want to, you can find your own class and do it. And teamwork in Magicite, I can imagine, is quite crucial and makes the dungeons and biomes much more tolerable and much more easier, and adds to the fun because you're playing with friends and you can just screw around as opposed to playing the game. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure if you can play on Madman mode, but I'm sure that if you can play on Madman mode, that makes it significantly easier. Now, for the art and aesthetics of this game, a part besides the combat, which I really do love, Magicite kind of embraces that retro aesthetic feel with the pixel art graphics reminiscent of like 16-bit games on the NES and SNES era of gaming, also arcade games and certain platformers like Shovel Knight and Spelunky, which I did mention in the beginning of the video, and also games like Terraria, Minecraft, Undertale, Stardew Valley, and such. The character and enemy designs are charming yet quite detailed and quite unique. Every single one is really like detailed with and made with so much love and care and passion and time and thought like put into all of the characters and all the enemy designs and hats too, and the different types of like companions you have. Everything is literally oozing that passion, that love, that soul that game developers like had, and some still have, but Magicite is quite like an experience as an indie game, which on Steam does have like a lot of positive reviews and is quite cheap last time I checked. And you can also go to like sites like Kingwin and buy them for cheaper, I'm assuming, because I'm not sure, because this game isn't very popular. I know Markiplier made a video on it and it has a good chunk of views because, I mean, again, it's Markiplier, what do you expect? But yeah, back to the characters and arts and aesthetics, it's so much like oozing out of like every porous of this game. It's oozing so much, and they're quite unique too, including when you like customize your character. No one character looks the same. Some do look similar, but they're different enough where you don't mind, and they have their own charm. They're colorful, vibrant, stuff like that. Environments too, they give such a welcoming and nostalgic vibe, which it kind of seems like so similar, yet something you never played, and it's so clean, yet pouring so much soul out of itself, and so kind of like minimalist, but also maximalist sometimes, to me, at least. The game's worlds feel so alive, and very much so because of the love and passion and inspiration that this game like took and was made from. But yeah, all of the dungeons, aka biomes, have like their own custom feel, vibe. Basically every single one of them, and there are 10 of them, every single one is enjoyable, and every single one has its own soundtrack. Oh yeah, the soundtrack in this game, very calm, very chill sometimes, but also it can be like, oh god, oh crap, I have to go, I have to go, I have to go. So yeah, soundtrack and art and aesthetics is something that basically brings the whole game together, besides the incredible combat, crafting system, and everything else that's layered in this absolutely fan-freaking-tastic game back from 2015. Back on track, we're gonna talk about the replayability of Magicite, which is one of its like strongest features. It's Magicite's replay value. Thanks to its roguelike elements and procedurally generated worlds, every run feels different, and the need for skillful strategy and resource management ensures that each playthrough is basically a challenge, especially on Madman mode. With procedurally generated maps, which I already mentioned, various character classes, aka races to unlock, along with the hats and what do you call them again? Oh yeah, companions, and an extensive crafting system and lots of resources to collect, many dungeons to explore, aka biomes to explore. The game encourages players to keep coming back time and time again to discover new combinations and tackle tougher challenges. Be it there alone or with someone, do it! However, the difficulty level in Magicite can be punishing. Again, I mentioned Madman mode, which basically just it's like taking a unborn child, a fetus, and throwing it into the deepest depths of hell and saying, "Good luck, good luck, just figure it out, bro. Yeah, just figure it out." And Man Mode is really hard, and multiplayer, aka co-op, helps alleviate this. Those who prefer to play alone may find themselves like frustrated by the frequent deaths and challenging encounters, especially me, when I sit down and play this game for 2 hours, and every time I get so close to the 20th dungeon and then I die by a stupid arrow from a skeleton, which I didn't even see and was on the upper side of the map. So yeah, this game can be quite frustrating, but it can be quite chill, and is really good. And the game can feel quite unforgiving at times. All the damn time, who am I kidding? Which may deter casual players or new players to like the roguelike genre, may like deter them from playing it, from like maybe like they play 10 runs and they quit. That can happen, but believe me, just play more and more of it, and as you get more skilled and as you get more used to the crisp and precise and fast movement and combat and crafting and everything, you'll enjoy this game definitely. And sometimes the grind is really real, especially if you're trying to unlock a certain character. But it's all good and well, just don't overplay it. That goes for every game. And we're just gonna move on to my final thoughts of this great game. Magicite is a lovely and challenging adventure and game that will appeal to fans of retro games and action RPGs, and people who also like torturing themselves for fun, like me. The combinations of roguelike mechanics, crafting, and co-op play, solo play creates a compelling enough and replayable experience to the point where you want to come back and play it at least for like maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. Like, oh yeah, let me play it for 10 to 15 minutes. Let me play one life. Then it turns into another, then another, then another, and then you find out you got a college diploma, you are 5 years into student debt, and you can't go back. You can't go back. That's how addicting this game can be at times. You literally drop everything. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you don't go to the toilet, you just play this game. That's how addicting it is, at least to me. Its pixel art style is charming, and the gameplay is deep enough to keep you coming back for more, which I already did mention. While it can be frustratingly difficult at times, which is almost all the damn time, the game's rewarding progression and co-op elements, which you can get if you play with friends and if you have any friends, more than make up for it. All in all, be it you play yourself or with some friends, you will get at least some enjoyment out of this game. For me, I'm still trying to 100% it, which means basically unlocking all the hats, characters, going to all the biomes, beating the game on both Madman mode and normal mode, and I haven't beaten it once, even though I found this game when I was but a wee young lad. I still haven't beat it once, but yeah, I want to beat it, want to unlock everything that this game has to offer, and truly experience the game and everything it has to offer. Would I recommend Magicite? Definitely, especially for the price and how like easy it is to run. You can run it on a potato PC, and considering the game is quote-unquote finished, because the developer finished it a long time ago, aka from the Steam post I read it said that it's his final update to the game, which is 2.0. He made other games which you might have heard of, like the Kindergarten series or whatever, which was popular, and I did watch game theory videos on. Yeah, it's the same developer who made those games. It's a great game. Would recommend it over and over again. And I think it's quite a unique experience which you should experience. No pun intended. So yeah, thank y'all for watching the video, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your days. Goodbye.